So I'm going to be reading the Syrians flee. So we're going to see what's causing them to flee. Then Elisha said, "Hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord, tomorrow about this time, a seah of fine flour shall be sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel at the gate of Samaria." So things are going to be getting expensive. So an officer on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God and said, "Look, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, could this thing be?" And he said, "In fact, you shall see it with your eyes, but you shall not eat of it." Interesting. Now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to one another, "Why are we sitting here until we die? If we say, 'We will enter the city,' the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also." So no matter what, kind of like they say, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay. Let's see. "Now therefore, come, let us surrender to the army of the Syrians. If they keep us alive, we shall live. If they kill us, we shall only die." So they'd rather surrender and live than die. We'll see here. And they rose at twilight to go to the camp of the Syrians. When they had come to the outskirts of the Syrian camp, to their surprise, no one was there. So they're like, what on earth is going on? But the Lord had caused the army of the Syrians to hear the noise of chariots and the noise of horses, the noise of a great army. So they said to one another, "Look, the king of Israel has hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to attack us." So they're thinking, here we are in big trouble. We got hordes against us. Okay. Therefore, they arose and fled at twilight and left the camp intact, their tents, their horses, their donkeys, and fled for their lives. So they left everything. They're just like, we're out. Goodbye. Okay. And when these lepers came to the outskirts of the camp, they went into the tent and ate and drank, and carried from it silver and gold and clothing, and went and hid them. Then they came back and entered another tent, carried some back, and carried some from there also, and went and hid it. Then they said to one another, "We are not doing right. This day is a day of good news, and we remain silent. If we wait until morning light, some punishment will come upon us. Now therefore, come, let us go and tell the king's household," so that we have to share this news. I mean, this is amazing. This never happens. Okay. So they went and called to the gatekeepers of the city and told them, "We went to the Syrian camp, and surprisingly no one was there. Not a human around, only horses and donkeys, tied and the tents intact." And the gatekeepers called out, and they told it to the king's household inside. So the king arose in the night and said to his servants, "Let me now tell you what the Syrians have done to us. They know that we are hungry. Therefore they have gone out to the camp to hide themselves in the field. So when they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and get into the city." So he's thinking, this is a trap. This is too fishy. Something's going on, okay? And one of his servants answered and said, "Please, let several men take 5 of the remaining horses which are left in the city. Look, they may either become like all the multitude of Israel that are left in it, or indeed I say, they may become like all the multitude of Israel left from those who are consumed. So let us send them and see." Therefore they took 2 chariots with horses, and the king sent them in the direction of the Syrian army, saying, "Go and see." And they went after them to the Jordan, and indeed all the road was full of garments and weapons which the Syrians had thrown away in their haste. So the messengers returned and told the king. Then the people went out and plundered the tents of the Syrians. So a seah of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. Now the king had appointed the officer on whose hand he leaned to have charge of the gate. But the people trampled him in the gate, and he died, just as the man of God said, who spoke when the king came down to him. So just as God says things are going to happen is how things are going to happen. He doesn't stutter. So it happened, just as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, and a seah of fine flour for a shekel, shall be sold tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. Then that officer answered the man of God and said, Now look, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, could such a thing be? And he had said, In fact, you shall see it with your eyes, but you shall not eat of it. And so it happened to him, for the people trampled him in the gate, and he died. So, did he get to enjoy it? No, because he's gone. So, when God tells you something, believe it, because it is going to happen. No matter what anybody else says, it's going to happen. Okay? So, anyway, next we're going to be reading The King Restores the Shunammite's Land. So, I think that's that Shunammite woman. So, all right. Here we go. It's going to get more interesting as we go on. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.